Good morning, everyone. It's Christina Osborne of the Property VA. Today, I'm actually going to speak to clients and not the VAs because I feel that clients also do need a bit of guidance in order how to work with their VAs best and how to utilize not just what I'm teaching the VAs, but also how to themselves with other tasks outside of lead generation. Clients can work with their VAs more effectively. I would add work with Filipino VAs more effectively because culture and communication does have a lot of impact on how we work with VAs. I have prepared some slides, so I will share my screen shortly. Okay, just close some windows here. Okay, so I've called this, well, today's presentation, Best Practices Working with a VA or Work with a VA. Although I've prepared slides and it will feel very much like a formal presentation, because this is the first time I'm doing it with clients, I actually don't know exactly how, what the flow is going to be. So maybe we'll start off it being slightly formal, but then maybe later on it's going to be less formal. We'll see how it goes because I want to make sure that this works for clients as well as not just me dictating how this presentation is going to be. Okay, so best practices when working with a VA. That is my main goal today, and that I impart with you some tips and some guidance, and hopefully these are all going to be very practical tips. Okay. The topics I'd like to cover today, best concepts, no or low tech systemizing tools. Number 3, maximizing the training that I provide for your VAs. And then number 4, I'm sure some of you will have some questions or maybe VA troubleshooting. We'll cover that as well today. I'll try and keep this whole webinar to within about an hour, but if you do need to leave after the hour because it's spilling over a bit, you know, just I'll send you the replay if you can't watch it till the very end. Okay, best concepts. I'll talk about 2 topics today under best concepts. The first one is managing expectations, and then secondly, distinctions when it comes to working with your VA. Managing expectations. I've written it down as a list so that I just read through the list and they're pretty self-explanatory. Number 1, your VA has no property education. Sometimes it is difficult to remember this in the moment that we are working with our VA, that in fact you've paid thousands of pounds for your property education and your VA hasn't. I often get asked, both by clients and people who are interested in finding a VA through me, that sometimes they would ask, well, is your VA trained to work on Arthur, for example, which is a rental property management software, or does your VA know how to do Nimbus? And I do have to explain quite often to them in that these are platforms, first of all, that are paid for. And even property investors here in the UK often cannot afford or feel that it's a bit too expensive for their budget at the moment, much less for a person in the Philippines whose monthly salary typically is going to be roughly about 300 to maybe 350 pounds a month. So the only way for VAs in the Philippines to know how to use these expensive software is if they're already working for another client who's paying for the software and training them for it. Does that make sense? So it's fairly almost impossible to find a floating VA somewhere whose previous client has spent all this money to train them to use these expensive software, and they're not already working for someone. Okay, so that, for me anyhow, that's beside the point. The point is that even if these VAs know how to use Nimbus, explore Nimbus, know how to use rental property management software, they still haven't got property education. This means that they cannot replace you. They cannot make decisions for you, business decisions, that is, and investment decisions. And also they may be related to, and maybe also sometimes distinct on its own. Your VA cannot do everything. It's very, very easy once you get the hang of delegating to delegate everything to your VA. But just remember that there's time constraint as well as probably mental constraint as to like what your VA can handle. I'm going to stress, especially with Filipino VAs, the truth of the matter is that for the most part, culturally, we are uncomplaining. If you give us work, we'll do it. And we will find it hard to say no to you. So you tell us, can you do this, VA? And the VA will say yes. Even when she's looking at her diary and scratching her head, how am I going to do that? But she won't verbalize that to you. She'll just say yes. She'll either find a way, and she might even be a martyr and do so for hours that you're not paying her for, because let's say she's only a part-time VA, for example. And then this will lead maybe later on in the future, and I would say maybe the near future, where your VA's only resolve is to say goodbye to you because she feels like she cannot continue working for you. So just, you know, things to keep in mind is to also think about the load that we are handing over to our VA. I'll actually talk a bit more practically how to resolve the load issue, okay? Finally, also your VA will need your time and supervision. So it's not just a case of, well, now that I've got a VA, I've actually freed up a lot of my time. Yes, that is true, but also just working with an employee, or in this case, a VA, will still eat up some of your time. Okay, at least at the beginning, when you both are still trying to work out how the working relationship is going to be, who's going to do what, you know, and how much of what you do for yourself as a self-employed or a small business owner, what you can let go of and hand over to your VA. Okay. Hopefully I'll talk about some distinctions, and that's the next topic. That's the next slide. Distinctions on what you should delegate and what you shouldn't delegate to a VA. Okay, distinctions. If I'm going too fast, please ask me to slow down. I just want to make sure that we have, you know, as much time as we can to talk about a lot of things today. Okay. Distinctions. A very, very good distinction to remember is that we give checklists to our VAs and not descriptions when it comes to talking about the task or the goal or the work that you want your VA to submit back to you. Okay, what does this mean? A very concrete example would be if you are delegating finding property deals to your VA, for example, and it could be as simple as go onto Rightmove and can you find me tired looking properties? Now, that seems like a fairly easy exercise and quite a simple request to ask your VA to do. But the reality of how this is actually going to be implemented by your VA is that because you've provided a description to your VA without realizing it, you've described tired properties, even if you've described it to the very, very littlest detail of, like, I don't know, patchy walls or swirly carpets and all that. What you think are very, very clear instructions, then your VA, remember, this is a Filipino thing. Your VA will just say yes to you, okay? They'll say yes because at this point, when this person is listening to your instructions or reading your instructions, it is not apparent to them that they may not know exactly what you're asking for, okay? The most important thing to them right now is that you've given them an instruction and they have to respond, and they'll respond by saying, yes, I'll do it, okay? And then off you go, and off she goes, and she goes on to Rightmove and finds tired looking properties as per your description. And then a couple of hours later, she comes back to you, submits I don't know, Excel sheet or some kind of document that says, this is what I've data scraped from Rightmove. And then you click on each one of those links, and then you go, well, I'm not so sure she understood what I asked for. You know, these are all the wrong properties. And then these are the clients that come to me and say, Christina, these are all the wrong properties that she data scraped, or she harvested, or she farmed from Rightmove. And then that's when I discovered that the instruction given was a description. And I always say, with descriptions, you leave it open to the VA to basically, what's the term? To decide for you which properties you will be looking at and which you won't be looking at. And who knows what fell through the cracks, right? Of whatever, however she or this VA decided for both of you what a tired looking property looks like. Okay. Now, so what does a checklist look like if descriptions are not an effective way of delegating to a VA? Well, checklists, I believe in by its very definition, it's a yes or no situation. Okay, so to design what a checklist looks like, I would look at the instructions and ask myself, is the outcome of what I'm asking for going to result in either a yes or a no situation? There is no maybe here. It's a checklist. Does it tick this box or does it not tick this box? And for me, the easiest way to create a checklist when instructing or giving instructions to VAs is to look at the platform that you want your VA to work on. This could be LinkedIn, this could be Rightmove, this could be Arthur, this could be a CRM software or a bookkeeping software like Sage or QuickBooks. You go to the buttons, the drop-down menu, the navigating tools that you can use off that platform, and literally tell the VA, you know, for this filter, choose that filter. For this question, answer this question. For that box, let's say the date range, these are the dates that you put in. So it's very specific, yes or no, black or white instructions based on whatever platform you're using. So in this case, let's say Rightmove, and you're wanting tired looking properties. On its own, if you're basing it on descriptions, you're looking at pictures, and it's the person's eyes and the person's brains that are making the judgment of whether, you know, this property is a tired looking property. So that's a description. However, when it comes to checklists, there's we all know this tool on Rightmove. It's called the keyword button. If you, instead of saying to your VA, find me tired looking properties, if you use the keyword button and type in and give your VAs all the keywords that you want her to plug in, one at a time, of course, otherwise, you know, there may not be any result coming out. Okay, so one keyword at a time. So for tired looking properties, it could be the keywords in need of, or keywords requires, or cash only. That would be for BMV property deals, right? So, but however, you could be using other keywords such as vacant possession, or motivated, or quick sale, or competitively priced. I think that's a keyword. I'm not so sure now, but one of those keywords. So I hope you can understand where I'm coming from and explaining, in that you will hopefully arrive at the same work or the same pool of properties that you want the VA to data scrape, but that you've arrived at that pool with a little more certainty that whatever work your VA then hands over to you, there will be fewer mistakes, and that you can feel confident that you're not missing out on properties that your VA has not included because she's made a judgment call on your behalf. Does that make sense? Okay. Will your VA still make mistakes? Yes. In this case, it could be that, and I have seen this, when you go into Rightmove and you plug in keywords, sometimes the listing itself still does not match what you're looking for. Okay, but that's no longer the fault of the VA. That's the fault of who created this listing and uploaded on Rightmove, or Rightmove's own, I don't know, filtering algorithms are picking up keywords that are not within the listing itself, but it's telling you that it has those keywords. Sometimes that does happen, but they're far fewer in between than it would be if it was just left to your VA to select properties. Okay. Also, by using this method, using checklists, your VA is not the one making the decisions. So that's the second bit, tasks and not decisions, but that there's still a second layer of work that needs to be done, and that's your responsibility. So you are creating stages of work wherein your VA looks after one stage, which is the data scraping, and then she hands the work over to you, and that you look after the second stage, which is the final elimination. But she's done all the time-consuming, boring, low-value hard work, which is farming these lists, or farming these leads and creating a list, while still not making decisions on your behalf. And then stage two is where, well, she's already done all the time-consuming quantity hard work. You're going to look after the quality work. Okay. Okay. If sometimes, you know, when someone explains things, of course you say yes, 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 but then later on in practice, you might actually have more questions, in which case just come back to me in an email later on and say, Christina, you know, you talked about this. Can you help me work through this situation with my VA? Okay, so by all means, contact me anytime after the webinar, and, you know, while you're working with your VA. If you feel that you're going through a particular, I don't know, task with your VA that seems a bit tricky. Okay. Finally, delegate, don't abdicate. I do like it because it rhymes, but also it gives you pretty much the scenario wherein you, as a business owner, as an investor, property investor, that we have to make sure that what we are in fact outsourcing and delegating to our VAs do not remove the responsibility from us as the business owner in terms of what our VA takes over and what we look after. Okay, now that might seem a little bit philosophical, but just in terms of practicality, as an example wherein your VA, if you simply gave descriptions to your VA, that she might have eliminated what would be fairly good options or deal opportunities that you will never see, because you've given the task of, you know, to your VA of eliminating those leads of your potentials to campaign to. Okay, I'll just pause here for a second. There's a question in the chat. Oh, thank you, Elena. Yeah, excellent points. Okay, so just to go over a little bit more about distinctions and specifically about lead generation, because today primarily I invited you because, as you know, I train your VAs to do lead generation, and I feel like I want to explain and share further with you why lead generation is such a great tool to outsource to VAs, and also it's one thing that I really want to look after, both as a property investor myself, as well as a Filipina who knows how to work with VAs from the Philippines. Okay, so when it comes to lead generation, what we have to be clear about is that when our VAs generate leads for us, nowhere do they do any deal analyzing for us. So it's not a case of, is this a good deal? Or does this, help us achieve our property investment goals? Okay, that is not the remit of your VA. When they're generating leads for you, what they're simply doing is they're farming. Okay, they're crawling through websites, they're scraping through information online, that whether it's free or you're using some kind of paid platform, the fact is you're utilizing your VA to do the hard work of picking through the information. Okay, what they're not doing for you is analyzing deals. Remember the previous concept. Okay, so we're talking about desk concepts here. We are not delegating business decision making to our VAs. Okay, so we ask them to generate leads, but we don't ask them to do deal analyzing. Yes, we can ask them to plug in some figures on a spreadsheet. If you've got a spreadsheet, whether you created it yourself or you downloaded it from somewhere, on, let's say, figuring out what the ROI is or what the yield is from each particular property. That's great. That's also fine. Okay, but those are still calculations. Actual deal analyzing will involve factors such as, how are you going to finance this property? How much will that finance cost? What is your exit? Okay, those are all actually what deal analyzing is going to be. And anyhow, just an extra point, how I do lead generation for myself is that I send out by the hundreds to my campaign goals, my marketing goals. Okay, why? Because it will cost me more from my time to analyze each and every one of those. So going through 200 addresses, for example, and then coming back to me and say, well, that's not a deal anyway. Okay, I would rather not spend that time, send out those campaigns. And what's the expense on my side? Well, each letter is going to cost me 55p plus VAT. And if that turns out to be a mistake, if that turns out to be not a good deal, that is the risk that I was prepared to take on. Compare that with spending 15 minutes, half an hour, maybe an hour to analyze, a handful of properties, and you don't even know if those people you're contacting will call you back anyway. So why spend that time on trying to analyze if that's a good deal, if at the end of it, that person's not interested in selling their property to you? So I feel like, know where, as business owners, we should know where we should weigh in what risk we're happy to take. Are we happy to make a 70p, 55p plus VAT risk and find out later on that that wasn't a good deal? Or are we happy to risk our time, 15 minutes, 20 minutes to analyze one property before we feel like, okay, we will spend that 70p to send a letter to this person? I think For my part, I think that's a no-brainer. Okay. Even if it's not your time, even if it's the VA's time, right? So do you want to spend 15, 20 minutes of your VA's time, you're paying for it, or do you want to spend 55p plus VAT to send a letter out? Okay, so that's a question for you. Also, actually, secondly, when we campaign direct to vendor, the message we want to write in our letters, in our postcards, in our leaflet is not so much that we want to declare what our solution is for the homeowner or for the hotel owner, right? If we declare what our solution is, we leave it open to the person looking at your leaflet or your letter or your postcard. Well, that's not the solution I'm looking for. That's not going to work for me, right? So when we campaign to vendors directly, we want to just offer ourselves as someone who can work with them, who can come up with a win-win solution for them, and who can solve whatever property problems they're going through right now. Okay. So the reason why not only is it not going to work to delegate deal analyzing to your VA is that you don't even know what solution is going to work for the vendor. So ultimately, whether you feel like you can delegate deal analyzing or not, ultimately, you still need to talk to the vendor to come up with the solution that makes it a win for them as well as for you. Okay, so just a little bit more about lead generation. For me, lead generation is one of the most perfect tasks that you can delegate to a VA because A, it's checklist based, especially the ones that I'm teaching the VAs. Everything is checklist based, everything is implementation based. There's clear steps as to what your VA needs to do. And 3, it's easy to troubleshoot at which point your VA is not, is finding things tricky, okay? Secondly, it's low value. Low value, I mean to say that your VA is not, what's the term? If, for example, your VA is making a mistake, she's not made an expensive mistake when it comes to lead generation, okay? The consequences of a mistake for a low value task is only at a certain point. And in this case, for example, if you sent out a letter to the wrong address because your VA didn't fully put in the correct address, that mistake was 70p, okay? Whereas a high value task would be if your VA made the mistake of telling you, if you ask your VA, is this a good deal or not? For example, if your VA said, actually, this is not a good deal, so she parked it, she deleted it, she didn't show you that address, she didn't show you that listing, that would have been quite possibly a mistake that costed you as a business owner hundreds and thousands of pounds. Okay, so low value. We just want to delegate the low value tasks to our VAs. Repetitive. This is day in, day out, almost exactly the same steps that they're going to use if they're using the same strategy. Okay, you as a business owner, you're probably not wanting to do boring, repetitive, mind-numbing tasks, okay? You as a business owner, you want to find joy in your business, you want to do something creative, you want to do problem solving, you want to do things that scare you and get you out of your comfort zone, you want to try things out, but you don't want to spend it in front of the computer farming company's house or farming probate property listings, okay? Those are the tasks that you can delegate to VAs. Finally, time consuming. Whereas you can probably data scrape an address every 2 minutes, for you to reach the numbers that you want in order to achieve the property investing goals that you need, you will still probably need to do, I don't know, within a week, 100 times those 2-minute tasks, okay? So whereas they're low value, they're checklist based, they're still very much time consuming, and you don't want to spend hours in front of the computer paying yourself the same rate that you can easily pay a VA for. So people say it's so expensive to hire a VA, when in fact, if they think about how much a VA costs as an hourly rate, and if you had to do those tasks, you are paying yourself that rate. So just think about, do you want to receive a salary of 300 pounds a month? Absolutely not. So if you don't want to, why are you doing the tasks that would pay someone exactly that amount, right? So there, of course, as business owners, we want to make sure that we are in a position to be able to afford working with the VA. Okay. So, you know, if you are in that point when you feel like, yes, I think I can sustain working with the VA with the expectation of it paying back itself later on in the future, then I would strongly suggest to business owners thinking about, should I not hire VA, to really consider it at that point, when you're at that point in your business. Okay, just a couple of questions. I have a quick question, but it is about media posts we can discuss later. Yes, please, Neil. I might, in fact, even when we work through the next topic is systems, you might be able to find some points here, either to maybe make you think about another question, or maybe to answer your questions. We don't know. So yes, we'll go through the topics first, and then we'll talk about Q&A later. Systems, okay. Right, so this whole talk this morning is about how to work best with your VA. And the first one is to have, you know, best concepts in place so that we understand how we should approach delegating to a VA. But secondly, we also need to think about, can we work more smartly with our virtual assistants? Okay. The systems that I will talk to you about, a lot of business owners might feel actually scared. Let's see. Okay, systems to a lot of business owners seem a bit scary because they hear it a lot by all these business gurus. Okay, you need to create an outsourcing system. Your business needs to be systemized. Your business needs to have systems in place. And it feels all a little bit technical, expensive, and something that maybe you need a course to pay for and learn, or you need to hire someone or pay for a service that's you know, only an expert can do. Okay, while all of that is true, absolutely true, that it can, you know, if the more technical it is, probably, you know, as whatever size your business is, it might be what your business needs. And yes, there are experts who are very, very good at helping you create systems. But as for me, as property investors, self-employed, small business owners, I don't want this scary thought to stop you from creating and implementing systems that require no or very little technical expertise, or even technical platforms out there, paid for platforms. Okay, I think there's a previous slide. Just a quick thought nice to think about. Okay, systems saves you stress, time, energy, and money. Maybe there's another S here. Saves you stress, time, energy, and money. I don't know what the other S stands for. I think it's just systems. Okay, there. Right. So that is to say, anything that saves you stress, time, energy, and money, you can think about as a system. Okay, a system that helps you, if you're not yet working with the VA just by yourself, helps you become a more efficient self-employed person or small business owner. Okay, if you're a person who is working with the VA, systems that can help you go through the mess of delegation, for example. Okay, so that's what we're going to talk about. Okay, where might we need systems in our business when we're working with the VA? Big one, and this is my favorite, is to create a default diary. And then the other three, which today I'm going to lump in just one topic, would be your office, how you communicate, and how you give instructions. Okay. A default diary. It is said that the default diary is the single most powerful time mastery tool that we can learn how to do. And I'm going to say this one doesn't matter whether you're working with a VA or you're working without a VA and your own. And also for your VA, just on her own, okay? Even without working with you as the client or the employer or the business owner, okay? Everyone can learn how to create and use a default diary. Okay, I get asked, Christina, where do I sign up? You know, how much does that cost, or what tool or platform do I need to create a default diary? And I say, you can create a default diary with just a pen and paper. What is a default diary? Okay, a default diary is simply designing and planning your day or your week or your month or your year, wherein we've created blocks of time. Okay, we have what we're doing is if you think about a physical calendar or a physical diary, and you're using crayons or markers, for example, you are coloring one block red, you are coloring one block yellow, and you're coloring another block blue. You're saying that this block is this size, the other block is the whole column, the other block is just one line, another block is like maybe a square. So visually, that's what a default diary looks like when you've carved out blocks of time. Okay, if you're not a visual person, then just think about in terms of your diary in front of you, what you will be doing on a regular basis from this time to that time, okay? And on this day to that day. So this could be, as an example, Mondays might be social media posting days. Or it could be that every morning between 9 a.m. and 10 a.m. are social media posting days. So default diaries can be blocks of time within a day, or blocks of time across the week, or even blocks of time across the month or the year, the whole year, okay? How does it work across the year? For example, you like to do 90-day planning sessions on your business. So you know that as a default, let's say every 1st of April would be business planning strategy sessions, okay? And then every 90 days after that are also business planning strategy sessions. Or it could be, I don't know how big your businesses are, but maybe you have employees, and a default diary could be every 15th of December is the office party. You know, that as well is a default diary. So anything that everyone understood that this is what's going to happen, and this is the work that we're going to focus on, if it's work or party, it's not work, is and becomes a default. That is to say, everyone has the same understanding of what is meant to be carried out during that block of time, okay? So it helps us do focused work, and it helps us do and know what's the focused responsibility during that block of time, okay? It also helps us do focused delegation. Why? Because then we don't have to think about every 8 o'clock in the morning, oh my God, what am I going to give the VA to do today? Or maybe 6 o'clock in the evening, the day before, oh no, I haven't emailed my VA what she needs to do tomorrow. That is a very messy way of working with your VA and delegating work to your VA. But if we are working on a default diary, then I'm not saying that you no longer communicate with your VA, but that everyone understands that Tuesday mornings are bookkeeping days, for example. So your VA knows which part of the business she needs to work on for that day. And it can be a routine in that your VA knows without any instructions from you, maybe what folder she needs to go to on the drive, okay? Which Asana board or project board she needs to be opening today and having a look at, what she needs to submit as a work to you today, okay? So there, it's better organized use of your time as a business owner and also for the VA's time. That is to say, you're paying your VA, whether you're paying your VA an hourly rate or a monthly salary, the time that you're paying the VA for is allocated for. Does that make sense? So it's organized. Daily and or weekly, as an example, I said earlier, creating a default diary, you can create a default diary for every day of the week or for every hour of the day or for all the months of the year, okay? Also, by the way, just because you've created a default diary for today doesn't mean you need to stick to it. Anything in business as well as in life, if it no longer works, we can go back, review what doesn't work, what does work, and then we will fix it. We will change, you know? So it's just a matter of, okay, this is how we're gonna do things now because the other one didn't work. Or you as a business owner, for example, you have your own, you can create your own default diary for yourself. That has nothing to do with, let's say, your business, just like in your life, you know, you could be, for example, thinking, right, okay, so the goal is every day during this time and that time I'm going to be exercising, or I'm going to turn off my social media so like I don't get distracted by Facebook and Twitter and things like that. Okay. And like for myself, for example, my kid, she's in school right now, but school holidays are coming up on Friday. So whatever default diary I created that worked for the last 2 months, I'm gonna have to revise that all over again because it's her school holidays. Therefore, I can't stick to the same schedule that I was working on previously. Okay. And just also finally, there's also with a default diary, there's an agreed expectation of what everyone needs to be doing. Okay, now I'm going to tie this in with the training that I provide the VAs for lead generation, because weekly, I ask my VAs, okay, what are your wins and challenges from the week prior? And I frequently get my VAs telling me that they've not done any lead generation because their clients have given them something else to do. That is to say, the VAs, like I said, I keep saying this, your VA will say yes to you. Literally, she will. Whatever you want her to do, can you do this for me? Can you create this brochure? Can you research for me online? Can you sort out the tenants' records and all that? They will not say no, because first of all, A, they're Filipino and that's a cultural mindset. B, to them, their position is they're an employee, okay? So who are they to like step up and say, no, I'm not gonna do that? Neil is wanting to ask a question. Go ahead, Neil, you can unmute yourself.
Yeah, hello, Christina. Thanks for this. This is brilliant. This is so much more than I realised. One of the things I wanted to ask you was, we've got a default diary. You're setting up sort of, maybe you say, I want bookkeeping done one day, or I want this done one day, I want that done one day. Is there a way of putting across whereby if you delegate something else to that person, they automatically push that back so that they do it when they get time?
You can tell your VA that if ever I forget what today's default task is going to be, and I've asked you to do something, can you just point it out to me? I swear I'm not going to get mad at you. I swear, you know,
Right.
you can, you can just tell me straight out. Of course, they'll still say it in a Filipino way, that is to say, kind of very respectful. They'll just say, Neil, are you sure you want me to do that? Because, you know, today I'm meant to be doing this today. What would you like me to do? Okay, do
Perfect.
you
That's what I
want
want to know.
me?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that makes sense. Totally. Thanks. Yeah.
You as a business owner as well, which is why it's agreed expectations, okay? So that you also are aware of what your VA is meant to be doing on that day. So if you keep finding yourself coming up with tasks that you have to ask your VA to push things around, then maybe it's time to have a team meeting and talk about how should we rearrange and work through our default diary, because these things are not working, right? Also, I mean, I don't exactly agree with this statement, but I've heard a business owner once say, when you're working with the VA, there shouldn't be such a thing as an ad hoc task. That's his belief. I think that's a bit too extreme, because I understand sometimes we do have ad hoc tasks that is to say, we didn't expect to need to do this, okay? So now you have to find a way to get that task done. So you have to find a way to carve time from your VA's schedule to get that task done. So one way to accommodate ad hoc tasks is to just assign a block of time for it, so that also, you know, as a business owner, that you do have that allowance, that the VA can catch that task within her day and still not have to sacrifice anything else for that day. So if you feel you find yourself constantly having ad hoc tasks, well, why don't you block it out as well? Every day there's 15 minutes for an ad hoc task, or 30 minutes for an ad hoc task. That's it. I don't know. I hope that's answered your questions. Let me just check the chat box again. I was quoted 3,000 for an expert to put systems in place. Precisely. I mean, there are, you know, if you are a business of a big enough size that you do need an expert to work through, because it's not just you and a VA, you and 3 managers and 10 employees. I think £3,000 perhaps might be cheap to actually work through a 10-person business, right? Or whatever this quote included. So yes, you know, if you feel like your business will benefit from having to pay, you know, an expert to create systems, or like a software to work out some systems, absolutely. But for those who don't have that kind of resource, these are what I'm sharing with you today, are 0 to very little technically expertise required systems that you can design straight away. Okay, so there. Default diary. Right, some ideas on how to work out the default diary with your VA. I'm not gonna give instructions on exact steps on how to do this, because there's many ways of approaching how to create a default diary, but I'll just share some ideas with you. First one is to think about a task as a department, okay? So when your VA is doing lead generation, preparing direct-to-vendor campaigns, that's a department. That's a marketing department. Okay, so even if it's just the one person doing it, it's just the very same VA, but today she's marketing department. Okay, so any other tasks that you can think about, which department does this belong to? Then you identify where it goes during your default diary, okay, or on your default diary. Is that, oh, LinkedIn, which department is that? That could be a sales department, or that could be another marketing department. But in this case, it could be marketing in, let's say, finding potential angel investors or financiers who will, help you finance and fund your property deals. So whatever it is, if you think about a task as a department rather than just a task, it will help you categorize and then later on assign a block of time across your default diary. Okay. Other things to think about, length of time. How long do you think this is going to take your VA to do? Or how much time would you like to allocate the VA to do this? Because this could be a daily task. It's not to say that your VA will complete everything today, but that your VA knows that she's only meant to spend an hour on that task. And anything beyond that hour gets moved over to the next day or whenever the next block of time is devoted for that task. Okay, excuse me. Frequency could be a one-off task that your VA can do every week. Let's say lead generation, sending out campaigns, that can be done every Thursday afternoons, so that Stamp or whatever platform you're using will post and print and post the letters on Friday, and you know that the letters will arrive sometime Wednesday to Thursday. And so if you need to be answering calls or looking through messages, if you have a PA service, then you're also, as a business owner, you're not getting pulled in all directions. Then you go, right, so I'm expecting that I'm going to get some calls by around Friday, and the cycle repeats. Okay, so that's frequency. How often would you like that task to be carried out by your VA? And then fourth thing to think about, do I have any specific dates that need to be blocked out? And so our default diary will work around those specific dates. As an example, for example, Neil, you're with Mastermind. Well, you already know what your Mastermind schedules are. So you're obviously not going to assign a task at the same time that your Mastermind sessions are happening. Does that make sense? Or specific dates, let's say accounting dates or accounting deadlines. You need to submit this and that during this time, then obviously you know that those are immovable. Is that a word? Those are dates that cannot be moved in your diary. Okay, whether these are yearly dates or weekly dates. You could, for example, as a business owner, you might say that Friday afternoons are no-goes, okay? Because that's when I want to work on my business. That's when I want to sit down and plan and strategize and review my actions for the week, okay? So that can be your black out, not just block out, but like blacked out period, so that you don't book anything on there, okay? So as a business owner, you decide when that's going to be. Some people like it Fridays, some people like it Mondays because that's the start of the week, and some people like it midweek so that they have time to revert course or change course. Okay. Also, it's a really good tip. If you are now working with a regular default diary, you might, if you're the kind of business owner that frequently gets appointments from potential clients, and it can really derail you as well, then incorporate your default diary with your booking appointment platform. If you use Calendly, for example, don't take calls from any time of the day. Just whoever wants to book a call with you, tell them choose from these slots. Okay, so then you decide. That's why I showed at the beginning that the default diary is one of the best tools you can have for time mastery, because you can control who you want to speak to across the week. Sorry, not who, but when you want to talk to customers across the week. Okay. I hope that helps. Okay. Oh, wait, where are we? Okay, final thoughts on default diaries. What gets scheduled gets done. Do you want to build a pipeline of property deals using your VA's training that I provide? Then schedule it. Say, VA, Friday mornings, you've attended Christina's training session on Thursdays. Friday mornings, we're going to block that out. You're going to be doing data scraping on that day, and you're going to submit the work to me by 1 p.m. because then Friday afternoons, I'm going to block the day out to review your work so that on Monday, and that's another default day, on Monday, you will just receive an instruction in your email or Asana, wherever we work, to say that, yes, I'm happy for you to send out this campaign or do these changes, then send out the campaign. Okay, so specifically for what I'm teaching your VAs and what you're paying me for to train your VAs, schedule it, because otherwise your VA every week will just come back to me and say, I've not done anything this week because my clients got me to do this and that. Okay, so schedule it so that it gets done. Okay, I was gonna clump this together: virtual office, communications, and instructions. That is to say, you haven't got a physical office with your VA, so you have to decide exactly where and what your virtual office is. This can be as low tech as a Google Drive or Dropbox, for example. Or it can be a platform like Slack or WhatsApp, okay? And I clump this together because essentially it's where you and your VA are both online together and just conversing with each other, okay? So a few platforms that you can try out. You already know Asana, Trello, and Podio, but some of you may not have heard of Miro and Lucidchart. Miro is a digital whiteboard. So if you can imagine what a whiteboard is like in an office, people will stick a Post-it note, people will use a marker and circle something or jot some things down. That's what Miro can be used for, okay? It can be as simple or as complicated as you want it to be. I'll probably log in so you can see what my Miro board looks like. Lucidchart. Lucidchart helps you create flow charts quite easily, because probably you may know how to create flowcharts using Microsoft or Google Sheets, but they're not as intuitive and just easy to use as Lucidchart. It's free, by the way. Miro is free, Lucid is free. Of course, they've got premium versions, but I think for the most part, for small business owners, the free versions would be sufficient. I will log in here so you can see. Okay, what is Lucidchart good for? Flow charts. It helps you work out, you and your VA work out the processes in your company and who's supposed to be doing what. So for example, these are my lead generation VAs. So this is me actually. What I look after are all of these steps. Step 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. The colors represent one VA or one person, and they can see clearly at which point they need to be picking up something to do their work? And or if this person is not doing work, is it because this person hasn't done their work? Okay. And also it tells you like the load of each person as well. So like this one, it can visually alarm me is, you know, my blue VA getting an unfair share of the work. But then I realized it's just that there's extra steps that she needs to do. And it's not so much that her work is necessarily that she is more overloaded than the green VA. It's just that the green VA has fewer steps, but the workload is exactly the same. And so, you know, as a business owner, I can see visually as well as in detail what my process is for this particular business task or business activity. Okay, this one is the lead generation subscription client journey. What process goes through in order for me to onboard that client, start working for this client, and prepare campaigns, generate leads, and all that. And then you can create arrows as well so that you know that it's meant to go this way or that way and back onto this process. So give it a try. You might need to maybe use a pen and paper first before you actually attack the lucid chart. But once you do, it's very intuitive. Shapes, colors, text, connecting lines. They're so much easier to use than using the Microsoft version. I don't even know what it's called in Microsoft. I think it's Microsoft Draw or something.
Christina, may I just ask the question? I kept here holding on, but
yeah.
I kind of have I don't know whether it's just the way my brain works, but I kind of find difficulty creating this kind of flows and processes. I don't know whether it's just because I didn't learn or whatever, but I really do not feel it's like my thing, you know, and sometimes it does create like a chaos in my own head, as well as obviously people or VAs don't quite understand what I mean. And I don't know whether there is any way of learning to do it, or is it just the way I function? I'm not really such logical person who can do the step thing. What would you suggest?
I would suggest that number one, stop thinking that you can't do it, that there's something about you that's stopping you from doing it. And then number two, just get a pen and paper and list down for everything that you want to happen in your business. Let's say, for example, posting on Facebook. Okay, posting on Facebook. What are the steps? Number one, I need to, don't think that it's too simple or that it's a stupid thing to write down. Just write it down. Number one, log into Facebook, for example. That's the first step. And you think, well, that's a bit, you know, too simple. But then you think about, well, who's going to log into Facebook? Say yours at the VA. Which account? Whose email address? Right? Or if it's the VA who's going to log in using her own account, because that's the most secure way of, you know, accessing the platform, then what is her role in wherever you want to post? Do you want to post on a Facebook page, or do you want the VA to post as you on your personal page? Where do you post on Facebook? So it's literally sitting down and writing everything. Okay, don't think about visuals at the moment.
I think I realized that. I think that because I do these actions all the time, I kind of dismiss the fact that well, it's not so obvious for somebody else how I do it, because I just do it very quickly and automatically. So I don't put like a lot of thinking into it, how I do it. And I'm like, well, it's so simple. So yeah, that's exactly what it is.
Elena, may I say something?
Yeah.
I'm very similar in that way. I tend to do the tasks and I tend to sort of do them all myself, and I'm used to doing them myself. So the idea of actually writing them down seems a real problem, time consuming, ache. And by the time you've done that, you might as well have done it yourself. Well, that's where I am.
Yeah.
And I've really got to, one of the reasons why I want to take on a VA is actually to get out of that mind frame, because once you get it on paper, you realize how much you can delegate and how much work you're doing yourself, which is totally not your work. I'm starting to learn this. I'm not there yet, but I'm saying I know where you are with this, because my brain works exactly the same way. And really need to. I've been firefighting for the last 10 years and everything's up here, and I've actually got a problem with my old company that I'm leaving. And because I haven't written everything down, I'm having to go back and deal with it now, when I shouldn't be even going in the building. I shouldn't be doing anything, and it's ridiculous. So what I'm saying is that now I've really got to do what you're doing. So if you need any help with this, and I don't mean me helping you, I mean us helping each other, just let us know. Yeah. Because really,
Neil,
I'm on the start of it as well.
I agree. Yeah, same. I feel the same too.
Yeah, brilliant.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think it's probably not so much that I cannot do it. You are right, Christina. It's another insight that I've just had. It's not so much that I can't do it. I just did not find it important enough to actually sit down and spend time on writing it down, because of course I can't do it. And now I can, thinking back, I can give you lots of examples when I actually made these charts quite successfully. I mean, maybe they're not as detailed, or again, I didn't find it important to go into more details in them, but yeah, I can do it. It's just that I did not find it important enough to actually sit down and do it and spend time on it.
I think
because it felt like a waste of time.
I really like Neil's story, because I heard this and I tried to find it on Google and I couldn't find who said it, but I just heard this from one of my business mentoring groups. Get rid of anybody who is indispensable. And I thought, didn't that person mean dispensable? No. They didn't mean dispensable, indispensable. That is to say, if you find anyone, including yourself, becoming indispensable in the business, get rid of that person. Obviously, you can't get rid of yourself because you are the business. But that is to say, get rid of the bits that make you indispensable. Remove it from yourself. Pull yourself out from that responsibility. So how do you do that? Well, start low tech. Just write it down. What are the steps that are, that you do in your head automatically? Write it down. So that's the first step of becoming dispensable, because now you've got a list, just like an enumerated step of how to do things.
Also, another thing that I just realized, because I had this exercise done like last year when I wanted to onboard somebody VA. So I kind of had a meeting with like a newly set up agency who kind of provide this service. No, they were very keen. So obviously they were spending like time with clients, and they asked me to put everything that I do down. And I had like a list of probably 200 things at least. And VA came back to me like, we don't understand anything. I mean, I felt quite disappointed in myself that I couldn't write it out the way that they understand what I mean. But I mean, I know what I mean, but they didn't understand what I mean. And he like, well, it just sounds like it's such a mess in your head, which to be honest, it was, but that's, could be quite a painful task. But I realize the more you do it, you do get better. So I did get better. So now I think I'm like way better, even though I'm not as perfect as I could be, but I'm way better than I used to be.
The problem is, Elena, what happens, I find, is the fact that when you don't write these things down, when you don't touch them for a month, because you've got them up there, you have to go back and learn it all again because you've forgotten, because there's so many things that have happened since that time. And what you're doing is you're reworking a lot more than you need to work. And it creates so much ag. And that's one of the reasons why I wanted to take on a VA, is to get my own head straight, because it means I've got to use those hours. I've got to get them to do the work.
Yeah.
It's a healthy process to go through.
And also, Elena, the overwhelm can be managed or attacked by just working on one thing at a time. Don't try, again, I go back to best concepts. Your VA cannot do everything. So there's no point in sharing all the instructions with your VA. just one thing at a time. Do you want your VA to look after your inbox? Because that can be super time consuming and such a headache. Just that one thing, okay? And even if it's just a simple email, you write down what you want your VA to do, but go back to the best concepts. Think of checklists and not descriptions. If you can enumerate it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and also say exactly how much time you want the VA to complete the task, that's one step towards systemizing something, okay? And then, do you know what? Get your VA to learn how to use Lucid app. Tell her, teach yourself, and then create the chart for me, okay? Create for me the steps on inbox management, okay? This is what we need to do first, and this and that and that, okay? Right, Lucid is just one app. You may find that actually it's a bit redundant, that if you use Asana, it's already there. Great, that's fine. It's just, you know, something that I wanted to share with you so that you see what it looks like. Okay, if I can move on to Miro, just so you can see very quickly what it looks like. Because you might find
you easily get lost in all these systems, which is why yeah, it's like learning to use the system is also like a task to do. In a way.
You know what? The person who or the business that charged you £3,000 to create the system for you, they'll still go back to you and interview you and pull it out of you anyway.
Yeah, well, the thing is, I've just sounded to me like he's like, I'm gonna write everything down, I'm gonna do like loads of paper. I'm like, oh my god, like on top of already I have to deal with, you're gonna write me all that thing to comprehend. Oh no, anyway, apart from the cost, I just saw this, I felt like it's more overwhelming to actually have it done than leave everything as it is. I don't know whether I was right or wrong. I probably was wrong, but anyway, I kind of made decision that at the moment I'm not gonna do this with that guy for the cost and other reasons.
I think try and do something free and as simple as possible first. Okay, so this is what Miro looks like, and it might scare some of you because it looks like, oh my god, what's happening there? It's only because this is the mess that my VAs and I work through. Okay, so this isn't meant to be like as clean and tidy as this flow chart. This is just a whiteboard. So, you know, I'll stick, I mean, there's a bit of process here. And so there's one card per client. For example, I might move them around and go, this task needs to go here, or I need to attach something to this client. Where's attach?
I must admit, this looks quite daunting at the moment. So I think you're frightening us rather than actually making it easier at the moment, Christina. So,
I'm really sorry about that. But
I like it. I think it's very, I
yeah.
think I'm this way of person. I think I'm kind of this type of person who thinks like that. I like to, you know, have everything like that visual.
Well, you might find that Miro works for you and not for someone else. So try it out. As I said, it's free. Both of these platforms are free, and they are simply tools that can help you. I'm just trying to think now. This thing doesn't want to close.
I never got into Asana. I know a lot of people use it, and I discussed it with my current VA who used it and has a good knowledge of it. But she said, well, because we're only two of us, we don't really need it. So we settled up on Trello, and Trello I also can kind of tag her in a task. So give her a task, tag her in a task, and also set a time limit, like the deadline where I expect this to be done by. So I don't know whether it's the same, or is it just me again not really getting into Asana to use it properly. Maybe you could just give a little bit of
okay, so the reason why I offer this service of training and looking after the lead generation part of one of your VA's tasks is so that you don't have to understand Asana. You don't have to create a system of lead generation. What happened to my board? Did it just disappear?
Christina, absolutely. I'm sold on your services. Don't worry about this, but still want to be kind of in the loop on what's going on in Asana. Because everybody seems to be using Asana. It's just, and I don't seem to like gel with it.
Okay, here we are. Oh, I don't know why it just disappeared. Okay, I found it. Right, so when I teach the VAs on how to do lead generation, I make sure that everything is implementation based. And I've created a project board on Asana so that they can go back and visit the board and just to either propose it to their respective clients that they can try out this strategy, or they can share the entire board with the client and to say that, you know, these are all the strategies that I can use, I as the VA can use for you, my client, in order to build a pipeline of off-market property deals for you. And I stress the fact that it's multi-funnel because to find property deals, we'd like to use as many strategies as we can. So I've grouped them into 3. Right now, we've covered the first 2 categories, which is finding BMV property deals and finding C2R property deals. Okay, so each one, I think Neil and Leighton, you've briefly seen this Asana board already previously.
Yes. Mhm.
Yeah.
So we've got here the replay. So for every training session, they're all recorded, and I send out the link to the replay after each session, and I also paste it on the Asana board so that for every strategy, the VA can simply find the strategy to find the replay. So they don't have to look far because the replays and the strategies are all there. Okay. And then for every strategy, I've got all the templates, the spreadsheets, the mail merge document, all uploaded for each and every strategy. Okay. SSTC, that stands for sold subject to contract. There's keywords listings, unsold, text to tradesperson. So I'm just showing you briefly how to navigate the board. Your VA should know how to do this, but if they don't, they can quickly just anytime approach me and say, Christina, how do I do this again? Or I don't understand this step or whatever step. And that is to say, you don't have to spend time supervising and training your VA with this aspect of your property business, okay? Because that's what you're paying me for, that I look after the lead generation. Your role as a business owner is to provide the instructions or the scope as to what properties your VA is looking for, and B, to review the work that your VA is submitting to you. So there's the beginning and the end. The middle bit, the working bit, I look after. So your VA and I will be working together to make sure that campaigns are sent out weekly, as you know, as much as possible. So
Christina, do we have access to this board?
I have sent, I'm pretty sure I sent out a link. Did you receive it?
I don't think so.
Just pull up.
I definitely don't have the link, but I suppose I'm not a client yet, or
I will send you access to this link, but yes,
Okay.
Okay, don't worry, Leighton, I will send out the invitation after this webinar. Okay.
That's fine. Thank
That'd
you.
be great. Thanks.
I won't go into too much detail how this board works. Maybe we can have another session on it, but I think I just really wanted to talk about predominantly today, the best concepts, as well as systemizing how you work with your VA so that you work, more smartly, more organized, less headache for you as a business owner, and less messy as well. So there, I think we are pretty much very
may I
nearly
ask-
to the Q&A.
Yeah, may I just ask about the Asana boards? So
Mhm.
basically, you are using them as a platform just to keep and store the information, or do they?
Yeah,
Is it a task managing tool as well?
it is a project managing tool, as well as I use it personally as a way to organize like files in my business, because like, look at this. This is my messaging template. So if, for example, I have a client who comes to me and says, Christina, I'm interested in working with a VA. Can you help me? Can you help me find a VA? I don't have to write that email from scratch every single time. That's just not smart. And so I might find here, my screen now. This one, for example. Okay. There's the email. Whether I do it or my VA does it, remember the idea is to remove anyone who's indispensable. Okay, that includes you. So hi, thank you for meeting me earlier to ask about the services I offer. I'm happy to attach an information leaflet. So all I do is I know what the approach was, the inquiry was about, or why I was approached. I look for that specific topic, and then I copy and paste. Now, this could be a spreadsheet for you, okay, if you haven't got Asana. Or this could simply be like a Google Drive, for example, and it's all like folders and in the one document file per one message. It's up to you how you organize your business. Obviously, this is how I found that really works for me. I log in every day to Asana anyway, so it's not like there's that extra step every time I have an inquiry. Okay, so it's there.
So from this, do you how do you do your no, I mean, you ask your one of your assistants to send this email. So do they send it from so do you assign this to them in the Asana, or
I can do if I wanted to, but I'm not at the moment. So how I use my VAs are the other aspects of my business that I don't want to do myself. Okay, so there's three things that you can think about when you want to know which tasks you should assign to your VA. There's one, the things that you hate to do. There's a second one, which is what you cannot do. And then the third one is what you shouldn't do. That's up for you to decide. Probably you could say, I shouldn't be doing this. I shouldn't be the one emailing clients. But the size of my business right now and the role that I've assigned to myself and to my VAs, these are the tasks that I still want to do myself. But even within myself, I'm still the one doing it. I have created a system so that it's not just in my head. I can just simply copy and paste this. It takes me seconds rather than minutes to write out an email. Does that make sense? So yes, so if a client is, or even this, for example, VA weekly training, my message, the template to create a description on YouTube, it's already there. When I send recap to clients, it's already there. Recap to VAs, this is the message that I'll use. So similarly, you can use this system when working with your VA. Okay, so it's not just, Asana is not just for you to design and work through projects from beginning to finish, but also to organize your business. So this is my templates and system Asana board. Okay. So messaging on Zoho. Zoho is my online accounting platform. Okay, so concluding today's bit of webinar, with regards to lead generation, okay, your numbers dictate your action. So how many and what kind of property deals do you want to find in the next 12 months? How many viewings will that take? And for every viewing, how many inquiries do you need to have brought in to your business? And to achieve those number of inquiries, how many letters will you have needed to send out and campaign to? Okay, so you're working out your numbers from goal to beginning, and then you realize, okay, I need to be sending out 50 letters a month, 50 letters a week. Then that helps you determine with your VA, you know, how frequently she needs to be campaigning, how many times, how many letters does she need to be sending out, how many hours during the week she needs to be data scraping to generate leads for you. Okay, so just specifically when it comes to lead generation, your numbers dictate your action. KPI, key performance indicators. There we go. So
If we haven't experienced that yet, where do we get the initial figures from?
you'll have to start working first before you can get the data for you to work on those numbers. So right now you can say, for example, let's try out sending 50 letters a month. We'll see how many responses we get. If it's not enough, you
Where do you record this data?
okay, for me right now in my business, it's on Asana. And so on Asana, I've got the number of campaigns that we're sending out. But for you, this could be on a spreadsheet, for example. Your VA should know, I mean, probably not at this point because Michelle is fairly new, but you know, once your VA attends enough of my training and maybe implements enough of the strategies that I teach, then your VAs will learn how to transfer all the data that they're scraping from Rightmove, from the Gazette, from Companies House, and transfer that onto the spreadsheets. And then you're campaigning to these people. You're looking at the numbers. Okay, month one, we sent 100 letters, and the strategy that we use is probate, for example. Month two, we sent again 100 letters, but this time we sent it to portfolio landlords. So you could be using a simple spreadsheet system to track your campaigns, or you could be using anything more complicated. You could be using Asana, you could be using Trello, you could be using Google Drive. So any which way that you can track the campaigns. But that is what I'm helping your VAs do. I'm of course creating Asana boards for them as well, so that they can simply upload and track their campaigns for their clients. Does that help?
Yeah, I wanted to ask, you know, the VAs that work, if I would like a VA to work full time for me and obviously exclusively for me, I would not expect her to work for any other clients. Is that possible?
Yes, absolutely. So if you're working with a part-time VA, sometimes a part-time VA could mean that they have another client to work for, but the VA that is working for you
Full time? No, I'm talking about full time.
Full-time. Okay, so for full-time, then absolutely, you're the only client a VA is going to work for, because she won't have any other time to do other things.
And I presume I will have access to these boards and templates that you're creating for her. Am I right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Fantastic.
Right. So we can.
What do you call full time?
full time is 8 hours a day.
Right,
Part time is 4 hours.
right, yeah.
5 days.
My current VA, she was working 9 well 6 was 1 hour break. I mean, is this an acceptable terms for the VAs, do you think?
Generally, okay, your VA, first of all, is 7 hours ahead of you. So that is to say, she's been awake while you were still asleep. So couldn't you utilize that time while you're sleeping that your VA is already starting with work, such that when you wake up, there's already something in your inbox asking you. Okay,
Well,
you
yes,
need
I
to work.
could. However, my priority was for her to make calls and also answer the phone, which is why obviously I need a person who works to the UK hours, and that's been discussed from the very beginning.
Okay.
Yes, so because a lot of work is appointment setting and calling multiple times to get hold of agents and other people. So that's the reason why.
In which case, then that's just how you as a business owner will set down what the working hours are. All my clients who go through me to work with the VA, I send them a welcoming email to help them set these things down on their service agreement.
Yeah. Well, I really do discuss that in the detail. And set expectations from the very beginning. It's not something that comes up in the middle of the process.
Sure.
And so it's just like, do they usually take 1 hour break? Or because I think working 8 hours is quite long time for any person to work efficiently.
Sure, that's entirely up to you whether you pay for that break or that you don't. You just simply tell them, as long as you work for me from this hour to that hour, doing these tasks, then that's what you're paying them for, and that's what they're performing for you, based on the service agreement contract. So the point is that if you feel that you want to give 1 hour break, or maybe 4 times 15 minutes break, then that's entirely up to you. They won't, I don't expect that they'd be, unless it were a call center, that they'd be on the phone minute after minute after minute,
Elena, are you on the mastermind course at all, or any of the training on the training?
I'm on several masterminds courses.
I mean, I'm talking about the property ones, where the getting leads and lead generation, that sort of thing.
I'm a part of several masterminds, property and business, and also have my own accountability groups. So
the only reason I ask is because one of the things we were taught is actually using like a all-day PA or something like that, whereby they've got a list of questions and you're used to dealing with motivated sellers that call in on behalf of your campaign. So in other words, and they're there 24/7, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, which means you haven't got to worry about sitting by the phone or getting somebody to sit by the phone. The leads come in, and obviously they're English speaking, which means obviously there's no language barrier, there's nothing going on there. So I see that as being the most important part of the business, the lead coming in and you dealing with it at that moment, and then you calling them back when you get a chance an hour or two later. I don't know.
Well, I found that in Philippines, they are quite often employed as salespeople, so they know the job. Salespeople, appointment setters. It's not unusual for them to actually be very experienced in customer service, appointment setting. It's not only like lead generation and things like that. I mean, that they actually have very good English and. I agree completely. It is a good idea. I mean, I don't think I need anybody 24/7.
No, I was thinking about who answers the calls when she goes to the toilet or when she's having a lunch or whatever, things like that. There's going to be times when that person's not available to answer those calls. That's all I'm saying. And sometimes
reasonable expectation, I think, for any business to have lunch break. I mean, if somebody rings in the lunch break, I mean, they can either ring later or we can ring them back, because I've got a call system set up. We see who's run, so it's not a problem. I mean, but yeah, it's a good idea, 24/7. I'm not that size of business yet, though.
No, well, it costs 20 quid a month. So, you know, so it's up to you.
Which one? Which
All day
one?
PA.
All day PA.
It was just an idea. It's just a little backup. I mean, you could have it phone in your phone and then going to the all day PA if you haven't got somebody around. It's just a little safety net to stop you. I think sometimes when you've got to answer phones.
Sorry, do you mean like an answer service, something like answer.co.uk or Moneypenny service? Is this?
Yeah, Moneypenny. Yeah, exactly the same. It's Moneypenny, only obviously it's a lot more competitive.
No, I mean Moneypenny, the cost of it is like £70 a week or £70 a month minimum.
Yeah, that's because of the way that they build their business.
And all they would do, they would take a message. So I can't see the value in it at all. I mean, with the same success, they can just ring my number and leave a message, or
Elena,
and I will ring them back.
Elena, the service or the platform that Neil was talking about is All Day PA, and they charge about £20 a month, not £70 a week.
And then what they do is they have a list of standard questions, like for instance in property. And you can change that, obviously, as a template you can use.
Oh, I said, I did. Yeah, sorry, I didn't understand what you mean.
And they like basically, if you're campaigning for motivated sellers, the classic are what's the property, how many bedrooms, how many all the information that you want, and then that gets put templated up and emailed to you, and then you phone the client back with that information, maybe after you've looked at the property, so you can actually go online, look at the property before you call them. So you've got a lot more information and you're in control.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. I mean, if it's if the price point is £20 and they indeed like qualify people, that's of more value than just taking a message and sending me, oh, this is such and such run. I mean, my automated service will do the same. They can leave a message and I will get it transcribed to me. There is no value in it. I can ring people back just by number. I mean, it's not a huge value to pay like £100 a month for this kind of service. But if they qualify people and it costs £20, yeah, absolutely, it's fantastic. I'll definitely try it. Thank you for the suggestion.
It's just an idea. I mean, I'm not saying I'm early stages to it at the moment. It was just when you were talking about it, I just thought, well, actually, it springs out something that's just a safety net for you. That's more than anything.
Yeah. I didn't know about that service. You see, you live and learn.
Well, no, that's exactly what this is all about, and that's what we love about the mastermind courses and everything else. You learn so much. I mean, I wouldn't have met Christina if it hadn't been for mastermind and PIN and everything else. So. It's just all or Leighton, you know, so yeah, it's all good. But yeah, carry on. Sorry, I took over there.
Okay, so actually that's the conclusion of my
one question.
There's Q&A, of course. So
no, the one I asked earlier on, it was just about the media side, and that is obviously I'm doing post party at the moment with a lady called Joanna Sainsbury.
Yes.
She said it. I think you know Joanna, do you?
Yes, I'm actually within that group. I just don't use it at the moment for post parties. But go on. What is your question, your VA question?
My question is that obviously the problem with the replying comment wise to people's posts is the fact that it's very, very much you read it, you decide what you want to say, and you say it. Mm-hmm. Your whole idea between a VA is not to make those decisions. So they're going to have set answers, and that creates a problem, I think, with the algorithms and the setup and everything else that goes on within LinkedIn and Facebook.
Okay, because I've done post party before, I myself have created my own way of replying and commenting very quickly. That doesn't feel canned or doesn't feel like just like a token comment, like, oh, that's great, you know, which was that I briefly skimmed through the post, I copy and paste one sentence from the post, which it could be like, sometimes it's this person saying, you know, property is a long game, whatever. Copy and paste that, and then say something about that quote, like, absolutely, mate, this is exactly why property needs, I don't know, a mindset, whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
So that's my trick. Copy, paste, comment. That's it. So
Yeah,
just
yeah.
Well, so
the
is it
whole
something
thing,
that
if
your
that
VAs
helps.
do as well? Is it something like a VA that VA does, or?
No, Neil was just asking basically.
No, that's what I was asking, whether I could delegate this to the VA. That's exactly what I'm asking. So
You can delegate almost anything to a VA. Whether you should or shouldn't do is, of course, a decision that you need to consider. And if you do decide to delegate this to a VA, then delegate it in a way that involves steps rather than descriptions. So step 1, copy and paste a line from the post. Step 2.
yeah, but you can't just say, you have to put, you can't, you know what I mean? You if somebody's written, you know, 50, 100 or 500 words in a script, they can't say, take out 6 words from anywhere and just paste it. You've got to be more
No.
definition than that.
Yeah, so you can read through, skim through, okay? But the trouble is, this is then your decision to make. If you want to outsource this to a VA, then how do you outsource it in a way that the instructions are clear and that, you know, your VA doesn't make a mess of this
That's what I'm
whole
worried about.
party thing? Which, to me, then, of course, you're gonna have to sacrifice some, right? In order to get rid of this task and still participate with the post party. Like, how you can find your way on how to resolve this issue, but how I would resolve the issue is to give very specific steps on how to comment intelligently. You know, so there. So copy, paste, and talk about that just very briefly. Or you can mitigate this by doing the commenting yourself, the initial comment, and then get the VA to do the responding comment, replying comment. That's not even a word, responding comment. Okay, so I don't know. That's
down to
yes,
me.
Yeah.
me too. Actually,
yeah, I also need to go.
Yes.
Yeah. No, I think we all do. No problem. I really appreciate today. It's been excellent.
Thank you everyone. I will send
thank
out
you.
the recording, sorry, the replay later on in the evening. And hopefully we'll get more clients on board, because I'll do this again. I'm not going to do this weekly, but maybe once a month. We'll
Yeah.
see. Yeah. Okay.
Brilliant.
Thank you guys.
Thank you.
I'll speak to you soon. Bye.
Yeah, thank
See
you,
you
Christina.
soon. Bye.
Nice to meet you, Elaine.
Bye.
Bye.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Christina, I really do need to get somebody on board. I mentioned to you that
I'll just stop
maybe.
the recording.